Across centuries, Cornwall has been a constant haven for everyone from writers and artists to wartime evacuees. In the 18th century, Jewish communities were established here, particularly in Penzance and Falmouth. Our next item is a much cherished part of this community.
So here on the Roadshow, I'm accustomed to look at books. Here we're looking at something really quite different. This is the scroll, isn't it? And I can see that it's a Hebrew scroll, so I'm assuming that this is a Torah scroll.
That's quite right. It's a Torah scroll, and it has the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. We actually have this particular scroll open at the very beginning. When we read the scroll, we don't touch it with our hands. We use this object which is called a yad,
right,
which is Hebrew for hand,
right,
and we point at the text with this rather than using our fingers.
Right.
If I could just read the first sentence, it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And later on, it goes to mention Gans Eden, the creation of the Garden of Eden. This seems a wonderful place to have the scroll because we are in a new Eden.
Yes, I agree. This is quite ancient, isn't it? This is a manuscript, so this is handwritten, it's in ink, and it's written presumably with a quill on parchment, which
Yes.
is animal skin. So this tells me this has some antiquity. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of this particular Torah scroll?
Well, this scroll came to Britain, came to Cornwall, in fact, in around 1740. It was brought by a community that lived in what was then German Bohemia, is now
Right.
part of the Czech Republic. And although we don't know the details of the story, we know that whenever Jewish communities move, the most important possession is the Torah scroll. It was used up until around 1870, 1880, when the community became so small that it no longer was viable. And this scroll was taken together with 4 other scrolls to a synagogue in Hampstead. But the synagogue decided only to keep one of the scrolls, which was in good condition.
Right.
The others were taken back to Cornwall and they were presented to what is now the Royal Cornwall Museum.
For all to see but not to use, presumably.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. But you use it now, so how did that come about?
Well,
In April 2011, I noticed that Truro Museum was selling off paintings, and I wondered if they might be interested in selling us one of the scrolls. So I went to see the then director, and she said, absolutely not, we may give it to you.
So that's what happened.
And we had a handing over service at the museum. Following that, we marched it through to the municipal building where we had a service of dedication.
Well, thank you so much for telling us this amazing story. I mean, this is a scroll with an incredible history, beginning life in Bohemia, finding its way to Cornwall in the 18th century, which I find wonderful, short periods in London, back to Cornwall, and now firmly back within the Jewish community, where it's clearly used on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.